Welcome back to the channel. Many of you don't know, but I was once a Jackman in NASCAR. Here's my story for this week, but there's also another funny story on why I'm no longer in NASCAR. May have something to do with this jacked up helmet. Be sure to tune back in on January 15th for part 2 of this NASCAR series on House Fishing Adventures. My name's John House. I'm a Jackman on the 30 car. I became a NASCAR fan by the age of about 5 or 6 years old. It was around 1992, 1993. Seen Jeff Gordon on the track as a young boy, seeing those bright colors and just kind of attracted my attention and fell in love with pretty much everything about the sport. Just cars going fast, cars themselves, sparked my interest. Just as soon as I seen a race car, I just fell in love. I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. For me, it was between Jackman or Carrier, and I'd rather be a Jackman. So I was able to get on a smaller team and kind of learn the ropes. And in the off-season of 07, we still maintained pit stops and workout and that kind of thing. And just started feeling something in my shoulder blade that just didn't feel right. Started out, it was more of a mild pain. I just thought with the Jackman thing, I pulled a muscle, something like that, and just kind of played it off, rubbed a little icy hot or biofreeze on there, and by the time Daytona came around, it just wasn't getting any better. The pain got pretty bad on the way down there. We was riding in a 12-passenger van and ended up pitting that race and come back to Charlotte. They actually ended up doing a CT scan. They called me, I believe it was the next day, and they said, you have some abnormality in your CT scan. We'd like you to come into the office and discuss this. We get in there, and the doctor was just like, we've seen some abnormality in your chest cavity, and we believe it's cancer. Went to an oncologist, sent me for a PET scan. We get into the office, and he said, I believe it's cancer. It's stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He said I had a tennis ball-sized tumor in my chest cavity, and then a tumor in my right lung the size of a grape, and then my pain in my shoulder blade was a tumor inside my shoulder blade, separating from the inside out. I was 20 years old. I was just like thinking in my head, I have what? But fortunately, I have a personality like no other, so it's just take it one day at a time. What's the next step? What do we got to do to fix it and get back to racing? So I did 6 rounds of chemo the first go around. Unfortunately, the mass in my chest cavity had already started to recreate itself. The doctor advised me that stem cell transplant's pretty much my next step. We had to do 4 more rounds of chemotherapy where I was admitted into the hospital, actually. That process itself was a little bit difficult, being stuck in the hospital for 21 straight days. I spent Christmas of 08 up in there and wasn't able to leave my room or anything like that. So it's kind of made myself a little apartment in there and a bunch of junk food and some drinks. Took the PlayStation up there and kind of made it home for that time. My wife was by my side. We was just dating at the time I was diagnosed. We got engaged shortly after that. I'm sure it was difficult on her. She won't tell you it was, but I'm sure she had her days. A lot of people could pick up and leave, when time gets tough like that. For her to stick around and be supportive and that kind of thing is just one of the things you just kind of know. Still to this day, if it wasn't for her and her family, I wouldn't be here. I stayed around for 2 weeks in Chapel Hill. They released me to come back to Charlotte, and from there I met back with my oncologist and set up 17 rounds of radiation and went ahead and zapped it, make sure it doesn't come back. April 15th of 2009 was the date that I was in remission. Yeah, it was a huge relief. It's a huge relief. Kind of get back to life the way I saw it. Mentally, it was a struggle. There's always a niche to go back. There was always a niche. Every weekend you watch the race, I could still be doing that. After training for a marathon last year, I was had the endurance and the strength and stamina to get back into it. I was just like, well, I haven't touched the jack in so many years, but I'll come out and see what we have left. And first pit stop wasn't so good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And then after that, it just continued to come back, muscle memory and all that. It probably took about a month, 6 weeks of lots of pit stops daily to get back into the routine. First assignment was the Daytona 500. I was excited. Deep down, I was excited. Everybody's going to lie if they say they're not. No, that whole day was special in itself. To be able to be a part of the biggest race of the year and all the fans and all the teams down there, and pretty ecstatic and pretty crazy at the same time. Next thing for me was, where's the next track? Let's go. Love the pit crew stuff, love the sport. It's just, I wish we could race every day. It's all I've ever wanted to do is be in the sport. I just live every day like it's your last, and if you want to do it kind of thing. It's your thing, so that's all you got to look forward to.
Well, there you have it. That's my story, how I got back into racing after all those years. Again, if you want to see part 2 on why I'm no longer in racing and what happened to that helmet, be sure to tune back in on January 15th of 2023 as I'll show you the incident that took place up in Pocono. Thanks for tuning in as always. If you would, please hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps the channel. We'll see you on the 1st.